and welcome. I'm Antonina Antosha and you are watching Head to Head on UATV. For a country as big as Ukraine, the reform of decentralization is crucial because it helps to manage the communities and to distribute local budgets much more effectively. Ukrainian decentralization reform is being implemented for 4 years now, and the survey, Decentralization and Territorial Consolidation in Ukraine, or how people see this reform, has been held recently. To present the first results of this survey, we're joined in the studio today by Volodymyr Paniotto, Director of Kiev International Institute of Sociology. Hello, Volodymyr, and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So first of all, would you like to tell our audience who this reform is targeted at? Who is this reform implemented for? What kind of population? What kind of layers of Ukrainian population?
This for reform, it was directed mainly now for the villages and small towns. But as far as I know, it will distribute it on more and more communities.
So the first target of the decentralization reform is rural areas of Ukraine, am I right?
Small towns also, not just rural.
Okay. What does the survey show so far? How we're doing with the implementation of the decentralization reform?
First of all, I would like to say that we have conducted 3 surveys now. In the surveys which are representative for Ukraine as a whole. It was in 2015, 2016 and 2017. We have surveys of 2,000 of respondents, and the error about 3%. And besides, we have conducted 2 waves of surveys of amalgamated communities.
Okay.
And in 2016 we have conducted a survey only in 40 communities, the communities which started to unite in 2015. And last year, 2017, we have conducted in 200 communities which were created in 2015 and 2016.
What can you tell us about the results of the survey so far?
One of the results that the 80% of population have information about this reform, and but only 20% have good information and the good knowledge.
What do you mean good information?
No, they say that they know well.
Only 20%?
Only 20% say that know well, but 80% who knows it's good in comparison with other reform. Really, it's one of the most successful reform, as we see from our results. But by the way, I would like to add that the attitude to reform depends on the information, because those who said that they don't know at all about reform, support only 30% of population, and those who something know, 64%, and who said that they will know, 73%.
So the more information people actually know, the more supportive they are of the reform.
Yeah, it's one of the good results. It means that the more information will help to implement this reform.
But don't you think that more and more people should be informed about the positive aspects of the reform? And if you do agree with me, how can we do that? How can, I assume, the government of Ukraine actually change the situation for the better?
I think that they do something, and they have some program for doing it, and they have to invest more efforts to this information. By the way, the results and your work also one of the way to distribute information.
Well, how do you distribute the results of the survey? Online, probably?
Online, and we had a press conference. We have also some other interesting results of
like what?
This survey. When we ask about support of reform, it appeared that in Ukraine as a whole, support almost 60%, and in cities 50%. But as for villages, we ask in two questions. One of the questions we ask, would you support the reform if your village or city will be the center of this amalgamated community? And in this case, 62% majority support this reform. But when we ask if your village will not be the center, only 20%, so they against it. But when we ask not the population who was not amalgamated, but the community which united, we see that there is practically no differences. Those who live in the center, 63% of support, and those who not live in the center, 62%. So no significant differences.
Okay, speaking of statistics, I have some here. And it says that 51% of people who already live in the amalgamated communities are expecting the current situation in Ukraine to change for the better once the reform is implemented, and 40% are expecting the improvement of administrative services. I mean, 40% of those who already also live in the amalgamated communities. Do you think that these expectations are going to be met once the reform is fully implemented?
I think so, because we, in my previous example, we see that usually when the person only predicts the results of reform, they usually have more optimistic view on this reform. And now we see that the persons who have not yet engaged in this process don't believe that it will be good if their village will not be the center. But those who have experience, they think that it's okay and they support it. So their experience practically meet their expectation.
Well, clearly there are those who criticize or oppose the decentralization reform. And I was wondering if you have any numbers of those who are against the reform, and has the number decreased or increased from the year you first started to conduct the survey?
It's about 20%, and it's rather stable.
So it stays at the point of 20%?
Yeah,
and
it's about 20%, within the error of sampling error.
Do you think that when the reform is fully implemented, this number will change? Or there are always going to be people who are against this reform?
We don't know, because I think that majority, as we see, will have the positive experience, but it's unbelievable that all 100% will have such experience. So some part will receive not good experience, and it's difficult to predict what it will be. What percent will not satisfy it.
And for the last question, in your opinion, when will the reform be fully implemented, if you can predict that?
The European experts, and one of them report together with us on the conference, told that in Ukraine it goes in much more faster than in other countries.
So that's positive.
They continue to do it, and during the many years, saying it may be 10, 15 years, the implementation of reform, and they continue to discuss it and to change something. So the European experts consider that now it's this reform, not other, because we have a lot of problems with reform. That this reform they do it in the very fast speed.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing this positive information. That was very interesting and very entertaining. That was Volodymyr Paniotto. He is the director of Kyiv International Institute of Sociology. Thank you so much for watching UATV. Stay tuned for more.